Most SUVs are done long before 200,000 miles, but a few keep working because the engineering is simple, proven, and easy to service. Today, we are breaking down the best years, risky versions, engines, transmissions, failure points, safe mileage, and real prices. Number 1 is the SUV mechanics still trust with their own money. Why these SUVs last? The SUVs that survive are usually not the flashy ones parked under bright dealer lights. They are the ones with naturally aspirated engines, normal automatics, proven cooling systems, easy parts access, and platforms built before every feature needed a module. That is why mechanics respect them. They are predictable. When something wears out, you can diagnose it, price it, and fix it without turning the whole vehicle into a science project. But do not confuse reliable with neglected proof. A Toyota with dirty oil is still damage waiting to happen. A Honda with no timing belt history is still a gamble. A Lexus with mismatched AWD tires can still become expensive. Mileage alone does not tell the truth either. I would rather see 180,000 miles with receipts, clean coolant, smooth shifts, and dry leaks than 110,000 miles with mystery owners and excuses. The rule is simple. Clean records, basic engines, normal transmissions, and honest maintenance beat badge reputation every time. That is how you buy an SUV once and keep driving longer without constant repair drama. Number 10. Mazda ECX5. Mechanics respect the Mazda CX-5 because it stayed simple, honest, and easy to service while rivals chased complicated tricks. The target is a 2014 to 2016 Mazda CX-5, touring or grand touring with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and the 6-speed automatic. That combo matters. No turbo, no CVT, no strange luxury system hiding under the floor. It feels modern enough for daily life, but the drivetrain still feels honest and easy to understand. The early 2013 cars with the 2.0 are not terrible, but they feel weaker on the highway, especially with passengers, hills, or loaded cargo. I would also be careful with abused all-wheel drive examples that have mismatched tires or no rear differential service history. The reason mechanics respect the 2.5 CX-5 is that it gives you a normal automatic, good access, and parts that do not feel exotic. It is not the biggest compact SUV, but it drives tight, parks easily, and stays stable at 70 miles per hour without feeling like a cheap appliance. Current used prices usually land around $7,000 to $14,000, depending on trim, mileage, and whether the body is clean. A high-mile touring can still make sense around the lower end, while a cleaner grand touring with all-wheel drive pushes higher. The top failure points are not scary, but you need to check them. First, front suspension clunks can mean sway bar links, control arms, or strut wear, usually a medium repair, not a disaster. Second, infotainment and small electrical annoyances can show up, more irritating than deadly but still bargaining fuel. Third, mismatched tires on all-wheel drive can stress the rear diff and make a cheap deal costly. Safe mileage? I would still look at 160,000 to 190,000 miles if the oil history is steady, coolant is clean, and the transmission shifts smooth. On the test drive, listen to bumps, run every screen and switch, and check the tire brands and tread depth. Maintenance tip: keep oil changes short and service the transmission before it acts tired. Also check the coolant color because overheating history changes the whole deal fast. The next one is less stylish, but even cheaper to buy and repair. If you want straight SUV advice built around years, engines, mileage, and repair risk, subscribe. We are not selling smiles. We are protecting wallets. Number 9. Ford Escape. Boxy little Escapes do not look special, but that plain shape is exactly why the value still exists. The best setup is a 2009 to 2012 XLT, or Limited, with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and the 6-speed automatic. It looks like a rental lot refugee, the cabin feels basic, and nobody pulls into a driveway bragging about one. Good. That keeps the price lower than cleaner Hondas and Toyotas. The 2.5 is the calmer pick because it avoids the later EcoBoost complexity and usually costs less to keep alive than a tired V6. The V6 can tow more and feel stronger, but if the mission is cheap ownership, the 4-cylinder is the better fit. Mechanics like this Escape. Because parts are everywhere, the layout is familiar, and most repairs are not mysterious. Every shop has seen rusty Escapes, noisy Escapes, leaking Escapes, and still running escapes that refuse to quit because somebody kept fluids fresh. Used prices usually sit around $4,500 to $9,000, and that makes sense if rust is not eating the structure. That is the first failure point. Rust around rear quarters, rockers, subframes, and suspension mounting areas can turn a cheap escape into a bad idea fast. Second, the 6F35 automatic can flare bang or shift harsh when hot if the fluid is ignored, and that repair can move from medium to expensive depending on what is wrong. Third, AC work and suspension wear are common old vehicle costs, especially on examples that lived in pothole country. Safe mileage is about 150,000 to 180,000 miles when the underside is solid and the transmission behaves. I would rather buy a plain escape with receipts than a prettier one with fresh tire shine and no paperwork. Checklist: inspect underneath with a light, drive it until fully warm, and test the hatch, rear glass, locks, and air conditioning. Maintenance tip: change the transmission fluid regularly and keep the cooling system fresh. This Ford does not need to be fancy. It needs to be dry, stable, and honest. If the seller gets defensive about rust, walk away, because structure matters more than paint, or the math stops making sense quickly. Next SUV feels more premium, but still keeps the right Toyota bones. Number 8. Lexus RX 350. Luxury SUVs usually scare used buyers, but the Lexus RX keeps mechanics calmer because the hardware underneath is still Toyota logic. The target is a 2010 to 2015 Lexus RX 350 base with the 3.5-liter Toyota V6 and the 6-speed automatic. The regular RX is the low-drama choice. The F-Sport can look sharper, but the normal trim is usually the cleaner long-term buy, because the point here is comfort, not pretending a family crossover is a sports car. These get dismissed by some budget buyers because they see Lexus and assume everything will be pricey. That is half true. Parts and labor can cost more than a plain Toyota. But compared with German luxury SUVs from the same era, the RX is calmer, simpler, and far less scary. Mechanics like it because the VE6 is smooth, the automatic is normal, part support is strong, and the platform ages better than most premium badges. Used prices usually run from $10,000 to $22,000, with many clean 2013 examples sitting in the low to mid-teens. Safe mileage can be 180,000 to 220,000 miles if the fluids are clean, the leaks are minor, and the all-wheel drive system has matching tires. Top failure points: first, timing cover seepage can become labor-heavy if it gets serious, so look for oil trails and a burning smell. Second, water pump or coolant seepage can show up as pink crust, low coolant, or a sweet smell after a drive. Third, struts, wheel bearings, and mismatched AWD tires create noise, vibration, and costly wear if ignored. Checklist: inspect for oil around the timing cover, listen for bearing hum at highway speed, and confirm all 4 tires match closely. Maintenance tip: keep coolant fresh, rotate tires, and do transmission service before rough shifting starts. This RX is not dirt cheap, but it is the kind of used luxury that can still be reliable when the owner cares. Avoid examples with sloppy accident repairs, missing service records, or dashboard warning lights, because luxury badges do not forgive neglect. Next one is older and uglier, but it is one of Honda's most honest small SUVs. Number 7. Honda CR-V. Basic transportation rarely gets respect, but this CR-V earns it with a K-Series 4-cylinder that mechanics still trust. The years I like are 2005 and 2006, especially EX or Special Edition trims with the 2.4-liter K24 4-cylinder and the 5-speed automatic. It is not quick, plush, or fancy, and that is the point. The engine is simple, parts are everywhere, access is friendly, and the whole SUV feels built for errands, winter mornings, and boring miles. Used prices usually run from about $3,500 to $9,000, depending on rust, mileage, and records. I would avoid rusty examples, overheated engines, and any all-wheel drive model with a rear differential groan that the seller waves off like nothing. The 3 failure points are clear. First, an AC compressor failure, usually medium cost, and easy to catch if you test the cold air long enough. Second, Rear differential groan on tight turns, often fluid-related early, but annoying if ignored. Third, valve adjustment neglect, which can show up as rough idle, misfires, or a tired feel. Safe mileage can still be 180,000 to 230,000 miles if the engine is quiet and the body is solid. Checklist. Test the AC, turn tight circles, and inspect rust around the rear quarters, brake lines, and the underbody. Maintenance tip. Service the rear differential with the correct Honda fluid, not random cheap fluid. That keeps the AWD system calmer and helps this little box keep doing its job. Also, check the spare tire well and cargo floor for water stains, because leaks create smells, rust, and electrical annoyances. I also want a cold start that settles fast. No sweet coolant smell, no blue smoke, and no seller saying the check engine light is just a sensor. That line gets people burned. If the idle feels steady, the shifts feel smooth, and the underside looks clean, this is still one of the most honest small SUVs under real-world money. Next SUV is bigger, tougher, and still one of the safest family buys under 10 grand. Number 6. Honda Pilot. Family SUVs do not need to look exciting when they keep hauling people, gear, and groceries without constant drama. The target is 2006 through 2008 EX or EXL trims, with the 3.5-liter J-Series V6 and the 5-speed automatic. It gives you 8-passenger space, a usable third row, wide part support, and a driving feel that says workhorse more than showpiece. Used prices usually sit from about $3,000 to $9,000, which makes it a serious family option if the records are right. Avoid any Pilot with no timing belt history, rusty rear structure, warm transmission shutter, or all-wheel drive neglect. The big failure points are not mysterious. First, timing belt neglect is expensive if ignored, but normal if planned. Second, motor mounts and suspension clunks are medium repairs that show up as vibration, thumps, or sloppy road feel. Third, rear AC problems and transmission wear can become costly on abused trucks. Safe mileage is 170,000 to 220,000 miles when the belt service is documented and the automatic shifts cleanly. Checklist. Verify timing belt and water pump records. Test VTM for engagement and tight turns. Then inspect rear subframe points, brake lines, and rockers for rust. Maintenance tip. Replace timing belt, water pump, coolant, transmission fluid, and VTM4 fluid as a package if records are weak. It sounds like money, but guessing costs more. We have all seen old Pilots that look tired, but still start every morning because somebody stayed ahead of fluids and belts. We have also seen shiny ones that are one missed service away from damage. I would also check rear heat and air, power doors, windows, and any wet carpet smell, because family SUVs get spilled in, loaded hard, and ignored until small problems become a weekend project. Buy the story, not the shine. If the seller cannot prove maintenance, price it like work is due today. A clean Pilot is not special, but it is dependable, roomy, and easier to trust than many newer crossovers with more screens and less substance. Next is Toyota's plain family SUV that keeps making newer payments look silly. Number 5. Toyota Highlander. Boring becomes beautiful when a Highlander keeps delivering silent, stable family miles year after year. The sweet spot is 2004 through 2007 base or limited trim with the 3.3-liter V6 and the 5-speed automatic. It is Camry-based, which means it drives more like a quiet family car than a truck, and that is good if your life is commuting, groceries, grandkids, and highway miles. Used prices usually range from about $5,000 to $11,000, with cleaner all-wheel drive limiteds asking more. Avoid missing timing belt records, rusty northern examples, neglected coolant, and overpriced limiteds, sitting too close to newer Highlander money. Mechanics like this one, because it has Toyota parts support, low-stress family duty, and fewer truck-style wear costs than a body-on-frame SUV. The top failure points are predictable. First, timing belt and water pump age, a planned cost that becomes painful only when ignored. Second, valve cover leaks and oil seepage usually have a medium cost, but are useful for negotiation. Third, struts, rear hatch parts, and AWD fluid neglect are the kind of aging repairs that separate cared-for SUVs from tired ones. Safe mileage can be 180,000 to 240,000 miles if the belt, coolant, oil, and transmission fluid histories are real. Checklist: verify timing belt and water pump, check underneath for AWD leaks, and inspect the rear hatch, struts, tires, and suspension over rough pavement. Maintenance tip: do the timing belt service before it becomes a negotiation fight with your own wallet. I also like seeing matching tires, clean coolant, and a transmission that shifts smooth after a full warm drive. That tells me the owner treated it like transportation, not a disposable appliance. Check the radiator, heater output, and temperature stability too, because cooling neglect is what turns a reliable Toyota into a driveway headache. One more shop rule matters here. Do not pay top money for old tires, weak brakes, dead hatch struts, and mystery fluids just because the badge says Toyota. Those are still real costs. Use them as leverage and keep your offer tied to the work sitting in front of you. A clean invoice folder matters more than a shiny detail because paperwork tells you who cared before you showed up. That is how you buy confidence, not excuses. And that matters when miles get serious again. This is not the SUV for attention. It is the one you buy because you want silent, stable, reliable family miles without drama. Some buyers pass because it looks plain fine. Let them chase something prettier. We are buying the vehicle that stays calm after the warranty years are ancient history. If these mileage rules help, subscribe. We judge SUVs by engines, records, and repair math, not showroom shine, dealership stories, or polished promises. Number 4. Toyota RAV4. Smart Toyota buyers care about the engine first, and this RAV4 fixes the oil-burning concern that scared them away. The years I like are 2009 through 2012, base or sport trim, with the 2.5-liter four-cylinder and the 4-speed automatic. That matters because it moves away from the earlier 2.4-liter oil burner conversation. And that is why mechanics treat these later third-generation trucks with more confidence. Avoid 2006 through 2008 four-cylinder examples unless oil use history is clean, documented, and not explained away with seller excuses. The reason mechanics like this RAV4 is simple. Toyota parts are everywhere, the automatic is normal, access is reasonable, and the vehicle is tougher than many small crossovers with CVTs. It is not fancy. It is not silent. It just keeps doing daily work. Used pricing usually runs around $7,000 to $15,000, depending on miles, rust, drive layout, and trim. Safe mileage can still be 180,000 to 230,000 miles if the oil history is steady and the transmission shifts smoothly. The top failure points are water pump seepage, rear differential leaks, or all-wheel drive neglect, and suspension clunks or wheel bearing noise. Symptoms are easy to catch. Look for pink crust near the pump, wetness near the rear diff, humming at speed, or clunks over broken pavement. Costs usually stay medium unless rust or all-wheel drive damage gets ignored. The checklist is short. Check oil level and records. Inspect rear differential seals. Drive at highway speed and watch tracking, vibration, and steering feel. Maintenance tip: change transmission and differential fluid before the vehicle feels tired. That keeps the boring Toyota boring, which is exactly the goal. I also like matching tires, clean coolant, and a steady idle after a cold start, because those small clues show whether the owner was careful or just lucky. If a seller says fluids are lifetime, translate that into neglected. The next one is huge, thirsty, and exactly the kind of truck mechanics trust when records are real. Number 3. Toyota Sequoia. Fuel economy is not the Sequoia's strength, but durability is where it makes newer SUVs look weak. The years I would target are 2005 through 2007, SR5 or Limited, with the 4.7-liter Toyota V8 and the 5-speed automatic. Properly equipped, these can tow up to 6,500 pounds. So this is not just family space with a big grille. It is a real, full-size Toyota truck. Avoid rusty frames, missing timing belt records, abused towing rigs, and four-wheel drive examples that never had fluids serviced. Also, do not overpay for a shiny Limited if the underbody looks crusty. Mechanics like the Sequoia because that 4.7 V8 is one of Toyota's great long-life truck engines. It is smooth, understressed, and built for steady work. The layout is easier to understand than many newer big SUVs packed with turbos, screens, and fragile luxury systems. Used pricing usually runs from $6,000 to $14,000, but clean ones with records can push higher because buyers know what they are. Safe mileage. 200,000 to 260,000 miles can still be reasonable if the rust is clean and the timing belt history is documented. The top 3 failure points are timing belt and water pump service, frame and brake line rust, and lower ball joints, suspension wear, or rear hatch problems. Timing service is a planned, costly job, not a surprise, if the owner is honest. Rust is the real killer because it turns a great drivetrain into a bad purchase. Lower ball joint wear can show as clunks, wandering, or loose steering, and that is safety-related. Checklist. Verify timing belt and water pump paperwork. Inspect the frame and brake lines with a light, and feel the front end over bumps and during braking. Maintenance tip. Do the belt, pump, coolant, and drivetrain fluids together when records are weak. I also want to see even tire wear, working 4-wheel drive, and a transmission that shifts clean after a long, warm drive, not just around the block. Heavy SUVs hide abuse well, so inspect brakes, radiator condition, and towing wiring before you believe any friendly story from the seller. IC cars ranked the Sequoia as the longest-lasting vehicle in a recent study, with a 39.1% predicted chance of reaching 250,000 miles. That matches what shops already see. Next SUV gives you Sequoia toughness with Lexus comfort, but you still inspect it like a truck. Number 2. Lexus GX 470. Leather seats hide the real story here, because the GX 470 is a tough Toyota truck underneath. The best years are 2005 through 2009 GX 470 models with the 4.7-liter V8, 5-speed automatic, and full-time 4-wheel drive. It can tow up to 6,500 pounds, and that matters because the GX is not fake luxury. It has real truck hardware underneath the plush cabin. Avoid rusty northern examples. Failed air suspension trucks unless the repair or conversion was done properly, and any GX with mystery timing belt history. Mechanics like this one because it avoids the traps that ruin many luxury SUVs. No turbo, no CVT, no fragile front drive crossover bones. You get Toyota truck parts, strong support, and a drivetrain that can take serious mileage when fluids and belts are handled. Used prices usually run from $9,000 to $22,000, with rougher high-mile trucks, lower and clean late examples still expensive. Safe mileage can be 200,000 to 280,000 miles if the rust is clean, the timing belt history is real, and the suspension is sorted. The top failure points are timing belt and water pump service, rear air suspension leaks or height control trouble, and frame rust, exhaust leaks, or cracked dashboards. Symptoms are direct: sagging rear height, compressor noise, warning lights, rough ride, ticking exhaust, or oily service history all matter. Costs range from planned to expensive, depending on how long the owner ignored the issue. Checklist: confirm timing service. Inspect rear suspension height after sitting overnight and crawl underneath for rust around frame rails, mounts, and exhaust areas. Maintenance tip: service all fluids, especially transfer case and differentials, because full-time 4-wheel drive works constantly. Do not let the Lexus badge make you lazy. Check skid plates, spare tire hardware, brake lines, and every height control button, because a neglected GX can still punish a buyer. Always buy records before polish, because polish never proves careful maintenance or honest ownership later, either today. But a sorted one feels silent, stable, and almost overbuilt compared with most modern premium crossovers. This is not cheap to fuel, and it is not as cheap as a compact crossover. But if you want Lexus comfort with Toyota durability, this is one of the cleanest plays in the used market. Just remember, leather does not cancel a truck inspection. Number 1 is where the market gets stubborn, because everybody knows it lasts, and nobody wants to discount it. Number 1, Toyota 4Runner. If you want one SUV to buy once and keep forever, this is the one people argue about until they own one. The years I like most are 2014 through 2018, especially SR5, Trail or TRD Off-Road, with the 4.0-liter 1GR FEV6 and the 5-speed automatic. Earlier 2010 through 2013, trucks can still be strong, But I want clean records before I pay real money. Avoid rusty frames, overpriced modified rigs, abused trail toys, and limited models with neglected X-Res or four-wheel drive service. Do not pay clean truck money for another guy's lift kit experiment. Mechanics like this truck because the formula is honest. Body on frame, naturally aspirated V6, normal automatic, huge parts support, no turbo, no belt-driven transmission, and no fragile luxury nonsense pretending to be toughness. Used prices usually run from $16,000 to $32,000, depending on year, trim, mileage, rust, and modifications. Under $20,000 usually means older, higher mile, or plain S or 5. Clean trail trims cost more because the market already knows. Safe mileage is different here. 200,000 miles can still be fine with records. 250,000 is not crazy if rust is clean and fluids were handled. The top failure points are frame rust and skid plate rot, wheel bearings, brakes, suspension wear, and KDSS or X-rays leaks on equipped models. Symptoms are easy to spot if you slow down. Rust flakes, humming at speed, brake shake, nosedive, uneven tire wear, oily shocks, and leaning suspension all matter. Costs move from medium to ugly when rust or fancy suspension gets ignored. Checklist: inspect the frame carefully, drive at highway speed for bearing noise, and check every four-wheel drive mode. Maintenance tip: service transmission, transfer case, differentials, coolant, and brake fluid before the truck starts feeling tired. I would rather buy a plain, stock truck with scratches and receipts than a shiny lifted one with vague stories and tire shine. This earns number one because it is not cheap, not efficient, and not silent like a Highlander. But when mechanics talk about common SUVs, they still trust. After warranty years are long gone, the 4Runner keeps coming back. It is stubborn, proven, and expensive because everyone knows the truth. Subscribe if you care about records, drivetrains, and longer mile math more than badges, showroom shine, or polished sales talk. Ranked best picks. Best pick under $10,000. 2006 to 2008 Honda Pilot EX or EXL. It gives real family space, a proven V6, a normal automatic, and prices that still make sense. Buy only with timing belt proof and a clean rust inspection. Best pick under $15,000. 2010 to 2015 Lexus RX 350 base. You get comfort, Toyota V6 bones, a normal automatic, and less drama than most luxury SUVs. Avoid rough F-Sport examples and serious timing cover leaks. Best pick under $20,000. Toyota 4Runner SR5. Mileage may be higher, but the platform is built for longer ownership. Buy the cleanest stock example, not the loudest modified one. Honorable under $15,000. Toyota Sequoia. It is thirsty, but if you need space and durability, it is hard to beat. Buyer cheat sheet. The safest long-life SUVs share the same traits: naturally aspirated engines, normal automatics, proven platforms, huge parts supply, and boring maintenance histories. Red flags are missing timing belt records, rust, warm transmission slip, all-wheel drive binding, mismatched tires, coolant neglect, oil leaks, sellers minimizing, and modified suspension with no receipts. Safe mileage depends on the platform. A CR-V at 190,000 miles can be fine. A GX470 at 230,000 can be fine. A 4Runner at 220,000 can be fine, but only when the records match the story. If the seller gets nervous when you ask for paperwork, that tells you plenty. Click the next video now because I am showing the SUVs people think are reliable, but mechanics quietly avoid. Like the video, subscribe, and keep buying smarter.